of wiggles too. Oh my goodness, there we go. Yeah, at least I can see balls here. Okay, cool.
Yep, and double tapping Julie makes her big on your screen, which is what we all want.
I didn't get to eat much today, so I'm frantically realizing I got to eat a little bit.
There are currently 15 of us on the Discord. I think there's about 20 in the meetup, so we probably have a couple more stragglers, but we're nearly full house, and we'll get started talking in a minute. Yeah. And the best thing about this today is that our meetup is a keep together meetup. So ride at your own pace. I'm doing a recovery ride. Julie's going to test the sprints. Ride hard if you want to ride hard. Do a workout in the background if you want. No, I probably wouldn't do that, but you can ride at your own pace. We won't drop anybody for the duration of this route.
If you get kicked out of the meetup, or if you stop pedaling or something, we can't stop pedaling and try and get you with us. The abandoned meetups get weird. So basically just know, if you're not with us, quit, come back in his Zwift, and pray that it invites you back into the meetup, and it should toss you back in with the group.
Within the first 30 minutes, right?
30? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 30.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Yep.
Hi, Nikki. Good evening.
Nikki, hi.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Fat, dumb, and happy.
This is me, Jay. I have the stream going.
Right. Ooh, we're being streamed, Julie.
So now I got to stop with the potty mouth, huh?
No, my channel has a disclaimer. You potty mouth all you want.
Yeah, awesome. Is there anybody who is on this audio who is not pedaling and in the meetup right now on the side of the road?
I'm not in it yet. I'm in Zwift, but not in the meetup. Yeah, me too.
Okay.
That's who's in here. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready.
Make sure that that's by choice. Make sure that's by choice and not because the join meetup didn't come up. It should
No,
come
the
up.
meetup
Yeah.
did not come up yet, and that happened at my last meetup here. So don't panic if you're not in the meetup. It will eventually load you in.
Okay. All right, so
we have a pretty good group of people on the call, so I think we can probably get started with some of the logistical talking. Julie, do you want to go first? You want me to kick it off?
I will just again say everybody is not on video except myself to save bandwidth. I'm only on video so that you guys can see the sprint position. Lydia will talk about options. Not everyone sprints like a quote sprinter, but just showing the realm of the possible. 10 minutes to banner drop, and at banner drop, we are practicing it. The race starts. Again, you could be pedaling easy, or you can try and do what we're doing. So therefore, you definitely want to be swinging your legs as soon as you can. Okay, I think that's all I got, Liz.
All right, cool. So let me talk a little bit about this. First, thank you, Susan, for helping organize all of these clinics. Thank you, everyone, for making the time to come. It's great to see a lot of returning riders that have been part of our team for a while now, and also some new faces. So nice to meet all of you. I am coming to you from Singapore, which is 6:30 in the morning, 12-hour time difference gap to Eastern. Julie's coming to you from Florida at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So we're covering the whole world here, which is pretty cool too. So the purpose of today, of course, one is to kind of build our community and continue to promote women's racing and to help each other get stronger and have a lot of fun as part of Coalition. Second part is to prep for the ZRL, which starts next week, which is my favorite racing series on Zwift. And I'll tell you why I love it and why it's something to get really excited about. So the greatest part about ZRL, and we'll talk about that as we go through the course today, is it's all about team racing and team tactics. Personally, you might feel, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't get top 10, I can't get on the podium. In a normal race, you might be demotivated by something like that. In ZRL, there are different segments. There's races within the race, and everyone's team points collectively add up to the team total. So you might be a really good sprinter but not have a great 20-minute power. You might be a time trialist and be a terrible sprinter. You might be a puncher kind of rider that loves a 2 to 5 minute climb. Awesome. There's something for everyone in ZRL, and there's chances for you to target those segments that are most suitable to you while getting points for your team as a whole, and the whole team's points collectively add up to your performance as a team. So it's not just about finishing position, which many of the other races on Zwift are about finishing position. This is all about segments, and it's about team tactics. So there may be situations, Susan and I have raced on the same team since I joined Coalition. There may be segments where I'll go for early segments in the race, and then Susan has a much better stamina and endurance than me. She'll take over and go for the segments at the later part of the race. Together, we've won all the segments, and we've gotten those points banked for our team. So ZRL is super fun, not something to put too much pressure on yourself about. It's a great chance to get racing with your team, build some different tactics, and to try new things in a really super supportive environment. So the reason why we chose this course today for the meetup is because it gives you a little bit of everything. It's the first course of last season's ZRL. That's just somewhat coincidental, but it's a really good course where we can try different types of sprint tactics, a small climb that's about a 4-minute effort, and of course how you position yourself for the start and for the finish of the race, all within maybe like a 45-minute long kind of race. As we go into ZRL, of course, the first course next week is quite different, but actually similar as well. All these races are less than an hour, mostly. You're going to have a combination of sprint points, climbs, and some big climbs, some small climbs, and these are the kind of points you can earn enough way through. So we'll talk you through some tactics on this particular meetup and this course that'll help you apply into any other courses that you do. But one of the most important things is actually knowing the course before you go into it. So each week of ZRL, there's some great videos on YouTube. There's course profiles. Your captains will likely post these in your group chat and talk about what's available, what are your targets, what are your individual goals, and what are your team goals for that respective race. But one of the most important things is knowing the course, not just showing up in the pen for the race and thinking, what am I doing? Where am I going? And having a plan. This is an example of how you can build that plan. The other thing we wanted to tell you before we get started is how do you prep for a race? It's really, really important. Maybe you have a checklist if you're that kind of person, or eventually once you get in the habit of it, you'll know. What are the things you need to do? You need to have water bottles on hand, or probably one extra than you normally would in case you drop something on the floor or it spills, or you're stressing and you're obviously on a heightened alert when you're going into a race. Towels, probably at least one, ideally two. Fan on if you're somewhere hot like me. 2 fans on. Make sure your device is plugged in. Make sure your bike computer or trainer is plugged in. Make sure your heart rate monitor is plugged in. Julie's showing you right now, if you use a regular bike, make sure your front tire is pumped. That will get you some extra watts. If your tire is flat, you're going to potentially hurt and damage your bike, but also you will lose some watts in the process. So Julie is giving us that.
I've been traveling. Shit.
Make sure your bike is charged if you have electric shifting.
Good point.
Yep.
Make sure you're charged if you have electric shifting. Yes. Make sure your heart rate monitor is paired and charged as well. If you have like a Polar heart rate strap or a Wahoo one, those batteries do die eventually. So if your readings are looking weird, it's probably time to change the battery. All these like pre-race stuff, just to make sure it's all lined up and ready. Jump on Discord 5 to 10 minutes before the race. You can talk to your teammates. Of course, while you're racing, most people turn it on mute and put music on in the background, except if we're on a team time trial where you need to communicate regularly. There's not an obligation or an expectation to talk during the race, but if you want to, or if there's things you're looking out for or see on the course and want your teammates to know, we have that chance. And of course, it just helps that we know that we're all in it together and we're all on the audio channel together, even if we're all on mute suffering on our own. We're there as a team and we're here to help each other. If you have the privilege of having a director sportif in your race or an extra teammate that's not available to race that week or sitting on the bench and can join in, they can also help steer the team along on audio or give you some tips and tricks as to what's coming up.
Alexa, set
Specifically on
AC to
this
73.
today, there are 4 sprints in one climb. Really helps to have somebody extra on the phone say,
Alexa,
next sprint coming
set
up at
AC to
8.
73.
Okay, recover, rest a bit, drink some water, make sure you get your heart rate down. The next sprint comes up at 7.8. Be ready, get in position. It helps when there's somebody else external doing that. And it's something all of us can do for our teammates if we're not racing on a given week, or if we're available in a different zone to jump in and self-encourage each other. So other confidence we want to build through the community to help DS and help support each other in different races. When you're racing, it's really easy to get race brain and you don't remember these things, or you're focused on one thing and you're focused on your heart rate, you're focused on your legs, but you're not necessarily focused on, okay, what's coming next? And it helps to have somebody repeating and encouraging that on the phone with you.
Awesome.
All right, Julie.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the race start. One of the things Susan has really put together nicely is the idea that we know these race starts are fast. We know it's going to be hell on earth for 1 to 2 minutes. And coming out of the pen, first of all, we do want to be in the pen, in the front of the pen. So 30 minutes before a race, I might be in my pajamas, but I'm staring at Zwift, join the event. So I get the closest position up front. Secondly, coming out of the pen, there are 2 ways to make power. High cadence with an easy gear, lower cadence with a heavier gear. The lower cadence with a heavier gear uses a little less cardio. What I've seen is some people that are running out 90 RPMs, 95 RPMs, 100 RPMs. Oh, I can't stay with the race. So Susan and I had her practice her starts. And so when we start with this banner drop, I am actually going to start with a heavier gear, and at about 10 seconds before the banner drop, so I'm in my big ring now, and I'm a little high, I'm up on an easier call. I'm doing 100 watts right now. I don't want to blow my wad just yet. But when we come out of the pen, definitely want to practice that ability, perhaps, to think about standing and think, walk, 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 walk. But you're walking against heavy, heavy, heavy. And you're kind of aiming for your watts to be kind of what you need for that category. And literally, Lydia, you guys see women, you come out about 250, I think, ish watts.
Yeah.
I think B women can be 250 to 300. But looking at your 5-minute power on Zwift can give you a general idea. If I can do that for 5 minutes, I can do this for 1 or 2. Okay? So again, I'm only 47 seconds away from our banner drop. I always take a drink right before the race. Turn on my tunes. Throw out the DS in my ear. Just kidding.
Hey.
And I do stand and watch. So totally up to you to practice your start. I'm on 26 seconds to go. I'm on 100 watts. We're all going to lead together. You must be pedaling or you'll get dropped in the meetup. Banner in 15. I'm going to shift 1 heavier. 150 watts now. My FTP is 205. Now we are on 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm only going 70 RPMs, but I'm going 300 watts. So rather than going 100 RPMs, I'm able to just kind of moderate this, get my feeling together, and when I'm ready, I sit, shift easier, and kind of try to stay with the group.
And it's about 30 seconds in most races. So if you have just mentally, it feels like it's forever, it feels like I can't do this. It's between 30 seconds and a minute in any given race.
Yeah.
Knowing that up front helps you hang on. And then everybody sits up and settles into the group.
Okay. Exactly. So now, before we think of anything else, our first sprint comes at 3 kilometers. And it is 320 meters long. That is brutal. Most sprints for sprinters, they're like 150, 200 meters. Think Cavendish in the last 200, right? So when you're thinking about this sprint coming up, At 320 meters, am I trying to stay in the darn race? I'm not a sprinter. Am I trying to get first across the line, top 10 points, or am I trying to get a fastest time? A first across the line may go a little from the front. Fastest time, you start further back in the group, and then you punch it and start passing people. On a fastest time, on a shorter sprint, 150 to 200 meters, you're at full speed when you go over that sprint line. But on a 382 meter, I'm not going to be full speed as I cross that on the ground. Now, in real life, you don't have to sprint like this, but this is what it looks like. Hands are down in the drops, and you screw your hands on. So your elbows come out a tiny bit. Okay? And when you come out, you actually can shift. Run, run, shift. Run, 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 shift. That's what a sprint kind of looks like in real life. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Lydia will give us some examples after the first one. But I'll kind of count us in. Any questions before this comes at 3 kilometers, the first sprint?
And just to everybody, we're not just going to be me and Julie talking all the time. We want this to be interactive. So if you have a question, say your name first so we know your voice, and then ask your question. Or comment, by the way, because we can learn from each other too. So you might have tips and tricks you want to share with the group.
This is Meg. Do we all sprint when we lose you guys?
What is the question?
If we don't sprint here at all when we lose you?
Nope. Long as you are pedaling. The whole group just passed me, and I'm going 166 watts. Goodbye, girls.
Okay, good.
The meetup will keep us together. You can sit here and eat bonbons at 100 watts, 50 watts. You're fine. Okay? I want those who want to know, what does it feel to time such a long sprint, 320 meters? You'll see. Am I fading at the end? Am I accelerating through? Which would give me first across the line, top 10? Which would give me a faster time? This is the time and place to play. So, yeah, you don't have to sprint. So we've got 2.1 kilometers. By the way, if you're not on metric, we really need everyone on metric. When you're racing together, your DS says, how many K to go? And you go 3 miles. She's clueless. So definitely switch to kilometers for bike racing. Plus you get levels this much faster. So we're at 2.3. And so what we're going to do here, got my hands in my drops. I'm not going to jump at the blinky line. I'm going to go a little bit more and then let her rip. Okay? Got my hands screwed on. RPMs is very personal. Outside, I'm 120. Indoors, I tend to be less, more like 90, 95. Because at the end of the day, watts per kilo, power, raw power is what moves the avatar. In real life, acceleration is different outside. Good time to sip. If you get there before me, time your sprint as you see fit. So watching this course, I know the sprint line is after you pass these cars and you turn right. And it's right there. So I've shifted one heavier. There it is. There we go. Pulling on the bars. Pull the bars. Shift. Pull. And through. Yeah. That hurt. All right.
Now, most important thing to do immediately after a sprint. And I did this completely wrong yesterday. Shannon and I were in a race together in DRS. I saw you out there too. Especially in mixed races, but this can happen in any race where there's a sprint. Just like our meetup, the whole group gets strung out. So if you want to stay in it, because you're going to go a lot faster if you're in the draft, you have to push through the banner and put in a little bit more effort to get back into the group where the whole group is going to sit up. Trust the draft. Trust that everyone is tired. Everyone is hurting, but everyone wants to try to get away. So 30 seconds to a minute after the banner, your brain still has to be switched on. Your legs still have to be switched on. And then you get to earn your recovery back in the group. If you're really strung out at the back, that 30 seconds to 1 minute could be a 5-minute time trial effort if you want to get back on that group. I did not have the mental strength for that yesterday, so I sat up and I gave up. Not a good idea if you're racing for points or racing with your team, but there's days when you have it and there's days when you don't. But you do need to know that it will sit up, you will get the recovery, but you have to put on that little bit more effort. You cannot sit up as soon as you hit the sprint banner and say, oh my God, I'm tired. You gotta keep going for about 30 to 60 more seconds. And then the group will come back together and chill before the next segment because everybody wants to save their legs, especially early on in a race. So trust that group dynamic as well.
Julie, I have a question. This is Shannon. I have a question for you. Do you always stand when you sprint?
Yes. Yes. And here's why. When I'm coming up to a sprint, especially the end of a race, I'm kind of walking like this. I'm like ready. Like 1K to go. If I'm in a good position sitting on the back of the group, I'm like, you bitches are mine. And then I'm pushing off. And then when I need to accelerate, I can pop one gear easier and fire the accelerator. And then shift again heavier once I get going. One of the biggest mistakes in sprinting is starting in too heavy a gear. You got to get that punch, accelerate the bike. So learning, playing around today is perfect. Start getting that feel. Did that answer it?
And Shannon, it's Susan here. I can't stand quite as long as Julie can, so I sit for as long as I can, but then I stand and do the same thing Julie does, basically. She just has a lot more capability to stand, and I know people who sit through their sprints and they do similar things, they just are sitting.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Stronger. Nat sits much stronger than me, and she sits. So, yeah, I'm just showing one way. Great question. Next is at 7.8 kilometers. It's a little like that, all 100 meters is a meetup. It's 482 meters. If you go full board at the beginning, you will get swarmed. So, one of the things I do is I know the sprint starts at 7.8 kilometers, 9, 8.0, 8.1, 8.2. So I know around between 8.2 and 8.3 it's going to end. Because some of them have a 200-meter sign, not many. But you do need an idea where that sprint goes. When you look into the map in the upper right corner, you can also see the banner. Sometimes you see it's right around the corner, and it's just when you need to keep going. So this one, I'm not going to, yeah.
I know, I just was going to say, Nikki's notes were invaluable that season. So Nikki, kudos to you. Just when I took a shot at de-esking for the team, her notes were really great about where the sprints are and where to stop. So thank you, Nikki, for doing that.
Yes. So what we were doing is we were creating a Word document with exactly when things started and ended and so on. So, and even there's power-ups to use when and where. And that is invaluable. I think this makes what I don't know. And I think each squad, the squad and the captain, like if you've got a team that's race people or force people, they kind of don't need the Word doc anymore. If you've got people that are new, you definitely want to get all that information together. And a good idea is to take turns doing it. You know, Nikki might do it one week, but let someone else do it. By doing it, you even think through yourself.
For sure. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, on the last team, it wasn't encouraged for people to step up and do it. What I love about this community, just come and raise your hand, say, I don't know what I'm doing, but love to the best. We got you. We love that you want to do it. I'm not sure my document's right, but I took a stab. Love it. It's all better. Right.
A couple quick tips before it really gets on the sprint prep. If you're going for fastest through segment, you need to be up to speed before the neon line. And you need to be at the next.
Not on the 482 meter one.
I agree. No, I agree. This is just a general comment. If you're going for fastest time, you already need to be at pace before you get to the line. You can't start ramping up your effort from 100 watts after you cross the line. That applies to any segment. If you're going for it on a long sprint, you want to position yourself really far at the back so you can draft and surf wheels all the way up and your power up matters a lot. Yeah, it's much the last 200. That's just a general comment to think about. I hadn't thought about it that way. I was like, oh, just be well positioned. No, fastest time is somebody that's already at speed.
Yeah, I would say there's some 150 meter sprints floating around, some 180 meter sprints. You need to be full bore over the line, over the start. This is 482 meters. I'm not doing a muscle.
No, this is a build sprint, definitely not a jump sprint.
Yep. Excellent point. Excellent.
Now, for those of you who are newer, less experienced, or maybe you're weaker in the group relative to other people, being in the front third of the group going into the sprint will help the chance of staying with the group. So, depending on your ability, will determine where you want to be so that you can maintain some draft.
And get back together with the group as quickly as possible. Yeah, so taking off from the front and just surfing wheels is a really great strategy if you're not looking for the sprint, but you just want to stay. Here we go.
Here's the sprint. So what I'm going to do is I'm like sort of watching wheels. It's 482 meters. I'm in the saddle. It's going to be about 8.1 and change. We're done.
Yeah, feel free to try this with Julie.
I see that green banner in my upper right. Pull the bars. Go, 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 go. Oh. Woo! We got a sprint jersey.
Nice, Julie.
Marin.
That's very
Marin.
pretty.
No, Marin. Marin got it. Okay. Next one is at 9.8 kilometers. And again, it's not short. 320 meters. So, you don't want to go too soon. You want to start the right wheels. And I'll be quiet, catch my breath, and see what Susan, Janae, Lydia, anyone.
Yep.
Get your brain down. If you've got two sprints this close together, you are trying to breathe deeply. Those of you that are newer, you've got to get your heart rate down as quickly as you can. So that means get in the middle of the group if you can. If you're hanging off the back, you're pushing too much. and we're recovering.
Yeah, the way these races go, it tends to calm down a lot in between segments because the segments are worth so many points. So get in your group, recover, take a drink of water, take deep breaths, get your heart rate down, ready for the next effort.
So we are strung out.
So
Okay, I'll go. We are strung out. Some people are going to see the sprint before others at around 9.7K. Just so you know. Okay. I want you to do what you want to do, Mr. Woods. Okay, back to you, Lydia.
No, I was just going to say, if you're not a sprinter, like me, but you have a decent 1 minute, 5 minute power, or maybe you're a time trialist, so you have a longer 20, there are chances when the group is chilling for the sprint where you can jump off the front and time trial your way first across the line. You're not going to be the fastest sprinter, but you can bag 10 points on that FAL. We've run that tactic many times with our groups where we had stronger watt riders that were able to maintain a high wattage for a good 1 to 5 minutes that we could send early and bag those points while everybody else battled it out for the sprint. That's another option.
Oh, that's what I see. Good numbers. Up, right to the line. Whoop, 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 whoop,
Woo!
If you thought that you were going up before the start line or the finish, it means that you need to go out a little less hard to begin with and then sprint near the end, like Julie said. So that's worth watching those videos for timing that.
Another tip I'll give when you're trying to stay with the group is to watch on the right-hand side of your screen what other people's numbers are doing. The one part is you got to know your numbers. You got to know I can sprint for 150 or 200. Can't go early or I'm going to blow myself up. You need to know that. But you also need to watch the numbers. If you see accelerations, the group's speeding up, people are jumping off the front, you kind of need to know what you're going to do if that happens. And it's a balancing act of those two things.
And I'll say, I'm not an expert. You guys know this has been very informative, so thank you. But it's really a learning curve knowing the difference in WKG depending on what you weigh. Because, like, someone, one of the, when I race mixed, so if I see a guy doing a 2.5, and I try one, Ben will say, match the wattage. Well, a 2.5, if I do 2.5, there's no way in hell I'm going to be in the back. So all that to say is, everything is not equal in matching wattage.
Yeah. So that's a great point. Hold on, guys.
Shannon, that's Shannon.
Okay. So in real life and in Zwift, watts per kilogram matters more the steeper it is. Raw watts matter more the flatter it is. That's right. You're right. You're surrounded by a bunch of men. They're going 3 watts a kilo. You're 3.2 in the drop. What the heck? Because it's a flatter. And downhills is tougher, for the women.
No resting on the downhill to reach the big.
Sprint 320 meters, girls, and it's got uphill in it. Either way, let's do it. This is the September segment of the month, too.
Push. Push. Some of you might be standing up by now or going hard. Go. Come on. Keep it up. Nice number. Up.
Nailed Vicky, woohoo!
Nice
Woo!
work. Nice job.
Starting out the jersey.
Can I add
All
something
right.
that I've learned?
Yes, please. Tell us who you are
Who's
first.
that?
This is Beck. Before a big race, especially these races like this, really be careful what you eat. Like, try not to eat anything really heavy like pizza, which I did for lunch, and I am suffering. Hot dogs
You'll
are
be
also
puking in
no
your
go.
mouth.
What's that?
You'll be
Did you
puking.
say puking
That's
out?
funny. That's funny. Hey, Shannon,
Okay.
one thing to remember, and we talked about this with Ashley last year, that while you can't produce the same raw watts on the flats with the guys, if you can surf with them, you accelerate faster. Because the smaller riders accelerate faster, the bigger riders, once they're up to speed, they're faster. So it's an important thing to start thinking about how the dynamics work for you, and that might help you in some situations.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Thank you. Susan, can you just expand on that a little bit more? Like, give me an example.
So a great example is in our time trial, the team time trial. We would all go off the line at, say, 200 watts, and Ashley would be gone. Like, because her acceleration is so much faster under the same power. And so I've just seen it in action with some of the smaller riders, is that if you can get in someone's draft and hold, if you're closer to the finish line when you go, so that you're not having to put out the raw watts for as long, you may be able to accelerate by people as they're ramping up or getting up to speed. It's worth playing with.
Yeah, that's the key right there. Now I have a couple of things I'd like to throw in.
Thanks,
First of all, the next thing is we've done 4 sprints. The next thing is the rooftop QLM. Lydia's going to coach us through that. And the last thing is planning your finish. When are you going to split? Where are you going to make your moves? Looking at the course, looking at the markers, everything. I always call it that stop sign, that kind of thing. So those are 2 things to think about mechanically. I'd love to go back to not just the eating. When you race your bike, indoors or out, or run, whatever it is, you have performance goals that you like to achieve, and you have technical goals. And to me, you can't lose when you have a technical goal. My tire's pumped, my train is moving, I got 3 bottles, I got 2 towels. I'm going to wake up and eat like race day. Work your way back from your race time. Do I need dinner the night before? I just eat a little pasta the night before. They can't afford pasta every night. Then it just sticks. And during the day, I'm not going to eat my big salad for lunch. Because I'm going to get it here. So write out your plan. Follow your plan every race. No pizza. Okay. Thank you for that. Now, Lydia, do you want to tell us
Let me talk a little
the...
bit about it. So, one of the other really important things to do is to coach a sprint, but over a longer distance, is understanding the profile of the hill you're about to climb, and understanding how long it's going to take. I find mentally, if I know the 2-minute effort, this is an 8-minute effort, this is a 20-minute effort, and I know my numbers that I can hold over that distance, and I can mentally sync myself to say, okay, that's my target. And I watch that clock so closely at the start of that banner to what time it's going to be when it's approximately 4 minutes, approximately 2 minutes, and you dial that in. It's a really good mental trick to know what to expect. Now there's 2 different ways to climb. There's the way that I climb, and there's the way that Julie and Susan climb. So it would be good to get both perspectives. If you can hold a steady power number over that 5 minutes, 20 minutes, great. Know your number, hold it, and maintain it. I'm trialists will have that discipline. Those of you with a 5-minute power that's strong kind of know what you do in 5 minutes in a workout. Treat it like a workout. And I have to do that 5-minute block. What's that target number look like? What can I hold? How does it feel? I know it sucks at the end, but I know I can do it in a workout. So I have a chance to recover after. Other riders, I know Susan and Julie do this, are punchier. They'll spike their power up, and then they'll get some recovery. They'll spike the power up, and they'll get some recovery. So you can use the profile of the hill to know.
Let me interrupt.
Yep, go ahead.
Let me interrupt. I suck at climbing and steady state efforts. What I do is I bunny hop. Like if someone's dropping me, I can't do it. But boy, am I looking at getting on a wheel. Even if, because the climbs, they might go up to 10%, but they might go down to 3%, and they might go downhill. I'm going to go faster across that whole thing if I'm on a wheel. So honestly, the only reason I'm standing and sitting is whatever it freaking takes to try and stay on the wheel of that person who's just, I got to be there. The other thing is, in real life too, you always want to be accelerating the top of a hill and get your bike moving. So once I see that banner, like I'm already winding it up simply because that's what you have to do. But I'm not a good climber like Lydia. She'll drop me on this. Anyway, that's why I stand and sit. I'm focusing on trying to have a wheel.
All right, and you do climb, that's a good point. You do climb faster on a draft unless it's a really low, really steep hill. For most of these climb efforts, you will benefit from staying on a wheel or staying in a small group and then seeing where it makes sense if you're ready to accelerate or you think you can get away, knowing strategically when and how long you can hold that effort for to jump away from the group. But most of the climbs are mental. They most of the time are in your own pace, your own timing, and what your ability is. Sometimes it's what your ability is on that day. Unfortunately, that's the reality. But it's important to stay with the group where you can. I thought, like one of my mistakes that I got wrong, I'm a good punchy climber. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, I can get the FAL points on those. I can get fast segments on those. So I go off the front to trick, spook the rest of the guys. The intermixed series makes a ton of sense. It takes them a long time to catch back up to me and get away. But I suffer and have to go harder because I had no draft. They started in a group. They actually are saving watts, and over a longer effort, I might die 30 seconds to the end, and they've overtaken me because they've had a little bit more watt savings. So knowing when to jump off the front versus it's tactical to stay in a group and then surge at the end is also really important. It's not always faster to just go off the front at the start.
Well, and I will interject. Never let fear of failure stop you from trying. Because guess what? It doesn't matter in Zwift. There's no power gel for the winner. You shouldn't fall off your bike and crash. It can happen if your trainer isn't. But you know, you got nothing to lose. Like this is where you
just what? You try different things, and sometimes it works.
I have another comment because I didn't want to get too much into team tactics, but I have a little time here. On climbing, that is where understanding never chase a teammate, never chase a teammate comes into play. I've seen teammates in a second group so desperate to get up there, they drag field with them. You gotta look. If you're in that second group and there's 5 seconds to your teammate, make someone come around you. That's the chess. They will come around you. They will pull you to your teammate. On the climbs, I found myself bunny hopping between me, a teammate, and 2 randos. Every time my teammate makes a gap, I sit behind the randos. I don't mind easing up to the long climb, I admit. The randos chase my teammate, then I put a dig in, and if my teammate stays, great. But if they open a gap, the randos have to come around her, she jumps on their wheel. So definitely on the hill climb, be aware of where your teammates are in your desperation to hold a wheel. Don't bring someone up to a teammate.
All right, so we're coming up to the start line of the climb. This is for a C rider about a 4-minute effort. B rider maybe 3.5. So knowing that up front gives you something in your mind. Look at the clock, look at what time it is. When you start that ride, get yourself ready to know, all right, I'm going to be here for about 3 to 4 minutes, depending on your ability level. If you're a D rider, it might be 5 minutes. I'm going to hold that effort, and here I go. Know your pace, know your target. Keep an eye on the undulation. Keep an eye on the percentage on the right. If you have a feather power-up, you want to use it on the steepest section, which on this climb is at the end. So as much as you might be desperate for it, hold on. If you are desperate and you think that's going to help you, give you 10 seconds of some sort of relief, go for it. Power-ups are there to help us. This course stitches up, flattens, stitches up, flattens. If you want to maintain speed for a fastest through segment, you can't afford to let up on the flat parts. Go up a gear, keep the pressure on, and try to maintain steady power. If you're struggling, use the recovery where you can. But, as Julie mentioned, keep your eye and your bike on someone else's wheel. And over those steepest parts, you got to keep that acceleration. You can't let up as soon as you get to the top. This is where it's super important to know the climb, to do a recon ride, to know your own number, your own PB on that particular climb. Know what you're capable of, and that's something you can try to beat in the race. Climb at your own pace, but keep your eye on the people around you. If there's moves being made, you can follow, try to follow.
Just happy you guys are dragging me all up. Thank you. You're welcome. Lydia, huge props to you for doing this after racing twice today.
This is my recovery ride.
Wow.
So I got to go hard. But yeah, hit in the legs, not going all out. What I'd also add here is just visualize what's in front of you. A lot of times on a climb, I crack mentally before I crack physically. I start to see other riders getting closer to me if I'm off the front. I think, oh, they're going to beat me. And then I sit up. My brain cracks before my body. A lot of people in these climbs go out way too hard at the start. They crack, start fading at the end. You can maintain and race with yourself and your efforts a little bit extra in the tank for that last effort to push yourself at the end. Think about it like the end of a race. You'll give it everything you got for that last 100-200 meters at the top.
And did you notice how?
Go ahead.
Did you notice how many spots were flat on this? That's why having to drop
Dinner's on the way.
so important.
Knowing the course, knowing when it turns, knowing I'm halfway there. I look at the clock, I say, okay, halfway there. Know I can hold this. I keep going. Okay, they're coming up on me. The end is, okay, I need to search for a bit of power. Stay back down. Stay away. Keep going. A lot of people on climbs don't repeat it. Go way too hard in the beginning and crack at the end. You're going backwards. It's your chance to start a little further back, potentially, and just start picking people off one by one and use those riders as carrots. Okay, keep going. There's another one. There's another one.
Perfect feather throw. Look at that.
There's a feather. Did you use
Marin,
a feather?
perfect throw. Marin, perfect throw. Perfect spot.
You see that banner? And you go all out again.
Gotta go all
Now,
out here. Or you will get dropped.
Of a climb that immediately starts descending, you will get dropped if you stand up and sit up. You have got to keep pushing through the banner, over the crest of the climb, get yourself up to speed so that you can drop in the groove down the hill. It's very easy to get dropped on this climb descent, especially if you're a lighter rider, and that can be lighter relative to your field. So I'm not a light rider. I'm not a light rider when it comes to racing with men. So how do you make sure you're on a wheel, see what's around you? Some people might be super tucking. You can't. You might still have to pedal your leg to maintain power and stay with it. Stay on the wheel on the descent.
How's everyone doing? Hello? Toot?
So one of the coolest things about this particular course is you hate climbing, and that was the worst thing ever. That 4 minutes really sucked. That doesn't have to be your race. Your race can be those first 4 sprints, or 2 of those first 4 sprints. That's your tactic. That's your way of getting points for yourself, for your team. And then you can cover your way through the line, climb at your own pace, not worry about fighting to the front. Whereas you probably have other people in the team that hate sprinting, love climbing. And just like in a flight race, your job to deliver them to the climb, let them fly. And they'll fly on the climb, they'll carry you to the end. That's the cool part about team tactics. While we're recovering down the hill, I'd like to ask Jeanette, better climber than me, we raced together quite a few times, keeps me on my toes, to share any tips that you have about climbing with the group.
Sure. I'm lighter, so you have to like pedal through the top, or you're gonna get especially on Climbers Gambit on the rivers. I got dropped on that one. So definitely.
So climbers
are going up.
Yeah. Climbers Gambit is our first race next week. I just want to explain. Climbers Gambit is our first course next week, so this is very appropriate. There's a sprint, then there's the Titans Grove QOM, which is, I don't know, 2 to 4 minutes. And then there's the 20+ minute epic reverse. So that's what Jeanette's talking about for next week. Okay, thank you. Back to you, dear.
Yeah, and then I get really carried away on that climb because it's 2 minutes, and you can do it at VO2 max, but you have to like over 20 minute like threshold effort coming up, so you have to chill. Yeah, I'm out of breath right now. Sorry.
That's okay. Perfect. We're sharing the breath amongst ourselves. So that's really important. Knowing the course and knowing what's coming next, and knowing what your goals are for that course. So as a team, you could have somebody that's whole goal of that race next week is the 20-minute effort up epic. Somebody else's goal and their sweet spot might be that 2-minute punchy climb. Somebody might be going for overall finishing place. So it's not really about segments, but it's how do I finish in the top 10 of everybody. So depending on your individual goal, that's how you manage your effort, manage your energy over the course of the race. Really important.
So I have a tip on climbing for low power and heavier riders. I happen to be a very heavy rider. And when you're climbing, one thing I've learned is try to keep that cadence high. You can clear out a lot more lactic acid that way. It's especially important once you hit the crown of the hill to really step your cadence up and clear that lactic acid out so you can keep up with the group. Otherwise, you're going to struggle to catch back on and you're going to get dropped. And that's my tip.
That's a great tip. Now I'm going to counter that with know your trainer difficulty setting. Your trainer difficulty setting is not an ego play. It's what gearing can be simulated. Anybody on a kicker bike can put the best climbing gears on and run at 100% trainer difficulty. They got gears. So there's no shame if you think you're going to be on this climb and in the easiest gear on your bike, you're going 60 RPMs for 25 minutes, lighten up that trainer difficulty a little before the race. I happen to live at 25 to 30%. Some people like feeling a little more of the pressure of climbs. But to KJ's point, the heavier rider, you might definitely want to make sure that you have a couple of spare ears there so you can have that quicker clean.
And we talk a lot about team tactics. One of the most important team tactics is finishing, because we get oodles and oodles of points for every person that finishes. So a team that only has 5 people has to do more work than a team that has 6 people with everyone finishing. So it's something to keep in mind. Keep encouraging new women to join. Keep encouraging your teammates to come out. Encourage each other to finish, because those points are valuable. And I mean, again, it's just for fun, for effort, but you do matter. Each person matters, no matter how your race goes or what your race goals are. And Julie is so good about helping people see the victories in their own personal victories.
Also, can I say something? This is Jill.
Yep.
If you finish, even if it sucks, you still have something to be super proud of. Even if you feel like you were the last person, and it was like the worst ride ever, you still feel good about yourself afterwards that you didn't quit, that you didn't give up.
And every point matters. We need so many times where like 1 point separated team 1 and team 2, and that 1 point was gathered by a rider that came dead last. That 1 point matters. Every single point matters.
DFL over DNF.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's lots and lots of people who just wish they could do what we do, but they're too afraid to want to start, or maybe they're worried that they'd be too slow. And like Phil said, just even being out and doing it is incredible.
And
I'm
most
trying
of
to
the
look at
time,
the course real quick. Oh, sorry.
all right, go ahead, Julie. If you look at the course, and I'll just
I'm
add one
trying
more
to-
thing later.
Well, I'm trying to see where our finish is. So it's 24.3. Our finish is coming up. When you're in a bike race,
going through the arcade, and then you're going to turn left, and maybe that blind finish. So yeah, when we get to the arcade, we're close to finish. 1K to go from the arcade start.
yep. So what you're doing is you're not sitting on the front of your, whatever group you're in. You are riding wheels. No one's getting away at this point. You have to have trust. No one's getting away. Sit in one. Now, some hammer the moment you get into the arcade, it's twisty turning. It's somehow easy to lose the drop. I will never sit on the back of the group until I get out of that arcade room. Some people really drill it here.
But it's blind. It's easy to lose people or stump somebody in here. So you got to pay attention and stay on it. Watch the numbers on the right. If people are accelerating, you got to accelerate with them to stay in the group.
This course has a tricky finish.
So I'm kind of out of the saddle, 70 RPMs, just enough gearing, pull my body up, 250 watts, I'm a little over FTP, staying attentive. I do not jump until 200 meters to go, because I'll tell you. Here it is. In the upper right, where it says 24:58 left, it will tell you 0.2 kilometers, 200 meters. You gotta go. I don't have enough energy to sprint right now. I'm pretty tired. And I just felt my adductor. So I'm not sprinting. Right around this corner. I'll be sprinting right here.
Around
I'll
this
do two,
corner?
right?
Two
Oh,
turns.
next one.
2 turns.
2 turns. Yep.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I've gone too early on here before. So you're sitting and you go and and then you'll see the finish.
Yep. All right.
It's tricky.
Again, I don't let that get tricky because I'm watching the bottom right corner of that white bar.
That's right.
0.3K,
That's right.
0.2K.
Yeah.
I am not sprinting as I'm at 0.2K. That's 200 meters. I'm not looking for the sprint line at that point.
That's
too
right.
late. So,
Julie makes a great point. Even if they do a custom finish, your race will tell you as you're counting down. I learned that the hard way.
all right.
I have many
Okay.
failure stories to tell. Many failure stories. If you're not failing, you're not learning. So,
And I think I've learned something every time we race. Every race. Learned something new.
yeah, absolutely. We did one race where Julie said every lap, she said, guys, we're coming through the start line. You take note of this. We're coming through the finish line here. You take note of this.
Oh, we had multiple laps. Yeah.
Fourth lap, and I'm pinned in my brain on the sprint segment up the road, and I see everyone in the group go, and I'm like, heck, and I'm like, oh, the finish. Oh my God. Stupid ass.
I had a dream.
Now,
Okay, so
some of you want to race and ride the course 800 times, but you can watch recon videos. Julie will maybe talk about those, or Lydia.
well, what I wanted to do was open up the floor for questions, counter statements, and witty remarks, because we're just rolling now.
I would say that the recon videos are invaluable. You can watch one for 5 minutes. It highlights all the points. It gives you visual cues for this stop sign, look for this bus, look for this whatever. Those are things to remember and to write down and have right in front of you for the race, because race brain can't keep track of all that stuff. Having a piece of paper in front of you with your numbers and with the points to race is handy. Just have as a prep.
And I'm going to raise my hand as a DS for a bunch of seasons. I will tend to say, well, what's his name, Dave, said this. I don't know. I don't believe, or the course markers are wrong. Nowadays, there seem to be ZRL, like preview rides, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if it fits into your training plan to ride another day besides the Tuesday, I will say Friday or Saturday, hit one of those mini ZRL races of course options, and I'll say race it at 80% of your effort, not full out race pace. I will also say if you're on an iPad, you can swipe down the corner and record the whole thing. Then you can go back through and write down exactly when every sprint started. Because when you do it from a meetup, or you just get on the course, sometimes it's not the same points in time or place than when you come out of the pen. So these are ways, depending on how much effort and time you want to put into this, because it's got to be fun. It can't be tough.
And it depends on you as a person. Like, I find I can't do a recon race. I can't do it. I then get into the race, I'm like, I don't have the energy to do it again. Like, my brain's like, I cannot put myself through that again. I can watch the recon ride. I can ride the course easy spin as part of like a workout that I'm doing anyway, just to visualize. I cannot ride the race twice, personally. Yeah. Other people want to prep. Well,
what I do is I watch one of those recon races. Like, I find a video of someone who recorded themselves. So not the shortcut recons that Julie was talking about, where someone says, okay, the sprints are here, 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 and here. I watch someone's actual ride. I'll even spin easy on the trainer while that's playing. And then I can play out what the sprint looks like. I can play out. I often create meetups for myself. That's the courses I do my workout on are usually the ones that we're going to do, and far in advance. I usually look at them. But there's basically the message is there's many ways to look at the event, and it doesn't have to be racing it 4 times in 1 week. So that's the only message I wanted you guys to all know, is many of us don't. Some do what Julie does. Some race 4 races. It's all personal preference. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't. I said some.
Should be here. I heard the dog barking. They might have come.
Some just
I ordered it at 7:10,
When I say
so it's been
that
25 minutes.
70 to 80%,
Should be real close. Let me check my browser.
you gotta let people go. You gotta not pull
It's out for delivery. The guy's around the corner.
Like feeling the force in your legs.
It's out for delivery. The guy's coming down the street.
6 months, 3 days in advance. I just want to be clear to the world in the
Oh.
stream.
Yeah, he's coming down Richie right now.
I'm too old for that. I can't recover. Thank you.
Yeah. And sometimes it's about knowing the segment. So, for example, if the volcano.
Just got the warning on the coming in.
I've done training on the volcano climb a million times. I know it takes me 8 minutes. I know I did it at 260 watts or whatever. That's good. If you're like, oh, I don't know what the volcano looks like, it would make sense to put yourself up the volcano and get a feeling for this is going to take me X amount of time, and this is the amount of watts I can hold for that effort. Those pieces are important.
Okay, last thing I'd love to talk about, if people don't have questions, is power-ups, right? Because we do have some new racers, and it is about optimizing power-ups. So, each of your squad leaders will go over the power-ups and talk about it, and you guys will have pre-race meetings if some of the squads do that, or chatting in their Discord channel, or what have you. So knowing that a feather is 15 seconds, or a draft is 30 seconds, those are great. So you got to know what power-ups are coming, and you want to know every single point on the course that you're going to get one, and when you're going to get your next one. So whenever I get a power-up, I'm already looking at my notes and going, okay, in 4 kilometers, I'm going to get another power-up. I just got a feather, and there's only one spot on this course that I'm going up for at least 15 seconds because I don't want to hit it when I'm going down. Feathers are still good on a flat sprint, but not downhill. Makes you lighter. So you're always thinking ahead on your power-ups, and there's even a trash can for power-ups. When for iPad, you touch your screen and you throw it away, so that you don't have to use an anvil, which makes you very heavy on an uphill. You can also deploy a power-up literally as you're going under the next banner that's going to give you the next one. So it could be deploying the one beyond the banner. And I've used that on courses, let's say it's a draft. And, I managed to get myself through, and just right before the banner, I bang the draft because I'm gassed, like the top of that QOM. Right before the banner, use my draft. Now I'm getting sucked along to get into the downhill while I've already been given the next power up, and I'm already looking at my notes, like, when am I going to use that? To me, it's free money. You got to have the free money and use it.
And that's really important on the sprint, when it streams out that sprint. If you can use your power-up late, or if you're desperate, immediately at the banner, whatever power-up you get, it's all used on an anvil. Get yourself back onto the group, and you use that power-up.
I'll be done in 15 minutes.
Contact with the group, and to ease that effort you have to make to get back on. Let's open it up for questions or comments. Witty remarks.
Susan, this is Shannon. I really like your accent, and I really appreciate your inclusivity.
She's amazing. She's the good cop to my bad cop. No, I'm the only bad cop. We got Susan is like that. We got Jill, and we got Lydia, and then you got the bull in the china shop. I just can't agree more.
I'm Canadian, eh? I'm Canadian.
Yeah, I'm from Michigan, Susan, so you kind of are dear to my heart.
Oh, yes, we have. It's no surprise that Fargo is one of my favorite movies. I love the accents. I love the accents. Yeah. No, it's important that everyone understands here, and especially that's what I really like when I joined Coalition, is it doesn't matter if you're the fastest racer or the newest racer. And I've told this many times, I'll tell it again. When I started here 20 years ago in my hometown biking, I did not come from an athletic background. I mean, I played some school sports. But then I got in the university, learned to love hot chocolate with coffee, drank too much, ate too much. And so then when I decided I wanted to bike, I lost 85 pounds. And I was a D-level racer for quite a few years. I hired a coach, and I went up, I got better every year. But I sympathize. I know what it's like to be lapped every lap by the leader on a cross course. I know what it's like to be at the back and get. So I just want everybody to know they're valued, and that's what I loved about landing here. So tell your friends about it. Tell new riders there's a home for them, right? So anyway, just hugs to everybody. That's all I care about. And Julie is brilliant at analyzing course. Many of the people in your team channels are. And so it's really nice to learn from each other, post some tips, get talking. This is fun. This is kind of neat, right? To be able to, I often get to a cyclocross race and I don't even get to look at the course until the day of. So I absolutely love doing course recon, and most of it is on the computer because I'm a little bit lazy. But anyway, yeah, hugs to everyone.
One more. I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll shut up. And that is, Lydia, I also appreciate how you, when you ask before races, what's your goal? Because before I raced for Coalition, I really didn't think about that. So I appreciate you asking.
I think it's super important because sometimes, and like yesterday, so here's the first one to admit to. I like to do that anecdote. I've been off the bike for the last 3 months. I finished on a high at the end of last season. Our team won the division, Eclipse in C1 US. And then I've done nothing except start a new job, get fat, go out with work events, drinking, eating, everything that, not fitness. So coming back to this,
I thought that's what we're supposed to do.
personally, I feel really bad. I feel not in race fitness. I don't want to race. I keep telling myself I'm not going to race. Not ready. Really the that are pushing me and saying, gotta get back into it. I did the ZRL series and I was quite close to dead bucket left a couple times, really suffering. But my mini goal was to get my Zwift category back up to C, which I managed to do yesterday. But still, I'm going into the season that I don't have the same race goals that I had 3 months ago. I was like up to C, and now I'm barely going up to C. That's reality. That's life. There's different priorities you have in your life at different times. Things come and go, but I'm harder on myself about that than anyone else is. And nobody's expecting anything of me except me. And being part of this team and having the support of each other helps remind you that actually my individual goal for this race is to just get a good 20-minute power number on the board on Zwift Power. In that time trial yesterday, I got to 20 minutes and 1 second, and I sat up and I was like, I held on, and I got myself to see, and now I'm dead. Right?
Yep.
I'll build my way to the end, and that was my mini goal in yesterday's race. But every single time your goal might be, and there's people in your team that might be recovering from COVID, or they've had some outdoor injury accident, babies, everything. Like so many different things happen that make you go. Some days you're fitter than you're right in periods of time. So knowing the race goals helps you as a team figure out how to support each other, and also how to best deploy your team tactics on any given race so that everybody can have fun and feel like they're contributing to the team and supporting each other, but all having a different objective in mind collectively. So it's super fun. That's why ZRL is so cool.
Yeah, and I've got one extra on this one though. We also realize that not everybody can spend as much time on Discord or as much time on Course Recon or having a pre-race meeting. They only literally in their life can show up on day of. That's still fine. As long as you and your captain and your squad know that, listen, you might not hear from me, but I'll be there Tuesday. Bells on. Then that's all you have to do. It's meant to be fun. What that means for you is what we want for everyone. So,
and each of you is a hero to somebody on that server or in your life. Don't forget that. People look up to riders of all abilities and they find inspiration. So, you know, and like Julie said, you might not have time in your life to do anything more than just show up, and that's okay. We want you to have fun. Hopefully this clinic, Julie and Lydia have such great tips. It was a no-brainer. We did this clinic last season or last year. I can't remember. But I love it. I learned something new every single time.
Well, I got to give props back to Susan. She's the one that kept nagging us on the group email, like, girls, we really got to do the clinic. We really got to do the clinic. She did all the meetups. She did all the stuff. She wrote the outline. 5 pages, folks.
And she's writing all the meetups.
Yes. Oh, she's writing all 3. So kudos to Susan for being and women's coordinator. She's working really hard to make sure that women aren't getting dropped. We're getting a lot of new people. They don't get to Discord right away. They're not quite tapped in. She's making sure no woman ends up with no squad. And some men too, but we don't care much about them turning the switch off. They get it right on.
I love Harmony D team. They're my people.
Sorry, I stole one of your riders yesterday. He patted himself up on my race, but he was amazing today, so I'm giving him props. It was so good.
Good. Anyway, we'll celebrate your cat ups, ladies, and we'll celebrate you when you don't cat up. I have not catted up all this time, so.
Cut it down. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
Right. So if we can address anything, please DM any of us. Post it in women's chat. Someone else might love getting that question answered too. Whatever it takes. Hopefully, cover everything.
And welcome all the newbies that are here. Thanks for showing up. It's great to have you as part of the team. We look forward to getting to know you better.
And folks, I posted a picture of my speaker in case anyone's interested, because it's wireless and I can touch it, and then I can mute just by touching it. So anyway, just something to keep in mind if you're looking for a speaker. Someone bought me one for my birthday.
Awesome. You sound really good.
Bye, everybody.
Anything else? Oh, wait, is that it? Okay? No more questions.
You guys can keep riding. You can keep riding and sprinting if you want.
Thank you. You guys have given a lot of information. I'm taking it all in. It sounds like a lot of really good information. So thanks. Look forward to racing.
Who is that?
That's Cheryl.
That
Welcome,
Maren?
Cheryl. Cheryl.
Oh, that's Cheryl. I was just in Clarke visiting her. In Des Moines.
Hi.
Hi,
Really?
beautiful.
Thank you. Wow. You guys, like there's just so much information. I love hearing it. And it was collectively really good information, and I need to hear these kind of things. So I was quiet, and I just want to appreciate what you guys just put
Don't
out.
you worry. Me and Jill are going to DS the hell out of you, girl.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Thanks, everybody.
So this,
Thank you, everyone.
the video will be posted up later on this evening, probably after the next group. So you guys can look for it tonight late or tomorrow if you want to watch again.
KK for reporting us.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Techie Smurf.
Bye.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Techie Smurf. Bye.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks,
Thank you, Lydia.
everyone.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
25 seconds. Oh.